Hey everyone, I'm Jaden,
And I'm Cam.
and we are the Super Gamer Bros, and this is the Super Gamer Bros podcast. We're just a couple of brothers who love playing games and love talking about games, so that's what we do. And I just want to say welcome everybody to this month's edition of Super Gamer News, name pending. I'm hoping we can come up with something better, but so far that's what it is. So what we're gonna do is we're going to talk about some of the biggest or just our favorite gaming news to occur over the last month. So we're doing something new today, Cam. This is something that in 3 years of the Super Game Bros podcast has basically never been done before. Like we have reacted to the video game awards each year, so that is something that we will do again, and it is, I guess you could say, that is sort of a newsy kind of thing, but this is the first time we're trying something new in 3 years. We're actually doing something different. And if you're, one of our loyal listeners and you're wondering why are they doing something different, well, it's actually very simple. You see, it's really two things. It's one, throughout the 3 year history of this podcast, talked about a lot of games. And I talk about games on this podcast faster than I can play them. So I honestly, I was kind of running short on games. Like, I don't think I would have been able to make it through a fourth year at the rate I play games without running out of games. Especially because I don't like talking about games from the same series back to back. Literally episodes, I think 4 and 5 of this podcast were both Last of Us games. But other than that, I like to keep at least a couple months between talking about games of the same series because, especially gameplay wise, they're always very similar. So I feel like doing them back to back is, or even like it's super close proximity is kind of, what's the word? I feel like it would get boring.
Yeah, bland. Not bland, but kind of.
It's
You
the
never know.
same thing, yeah. So I needed to stretch it out just so I had more time to play different games, so we could then talk about those different games, and things. And really, doing a news thing is something that talked about with Noah for years. We talked about potentially doing it, and I just never could find a good format for it, and I never really wanted to do the work. Then, now that I'm with young guy Cam over here, he, being super young guy that he is, has not even played as many games as say Noah and I have. Yeah, we've been gaming longer. And while Cam has, and I will give Cam this absolute credit, has said to me, Jaden, tell me a game and I will play it. I'll get it done. I'll do it for the podcast. And I do appreciate that. But I feel like asking Cam to play, I mean, really not even one, but two games every 2 weeks, both an indie bit and a full AAA game every 2 weeks, I feel like that's asking a little bit much because, some of those AAA games, especially, are long. And I'm sure Cam has other things he likes to do in his free time that are not playing games. So I feel like this way, if Cam has to play a game, he has a whole month to play it, gives him a lot more time, makes it, easier on him. And then also it gives me more time to just play games and find games that I like that we can talk about on the podcast as well.
Yeah. My schedule is sometimes a little tight, so you know. But the good news is, though, with that being said, is when we do have a game, I will be prepared to talk about it. You guys will hear great
Yep.
opinions.
Yeah,
Obviously,
which is what, yeah, we definitely, which I promise our listeners, I have played every single game that we've talked about on this podcast. There have absolutely been some games that Noah and I talked about where, as we're recording, or as I'm editing, I'm listening to it and going, man, it sounds like we didn't play this game at all. It sounds like we have no idea what we're talking about. And I certainly want to avoid that. So giving us that extra time to play games, I think, will be good for everybody involved. Anyway, so how this show is going to work is we're basically going to kind of take turns. We each found 3 news stories from the past month to that we want to kind of talk about, give details on, share our opinions on, and then we'll talk about some upcoming games we're interested in, and then we will actually still do an indie bit. The indie bit will be in every episode, so we at least will have that kind of old talking about a game format in every episode. So we're going to get into it now. Cam, you ready?
yes, I am.
I don't care. Let's get into it with my first news story. This happened very recently, I think, in the last week or so from the time we're recording this. The Game Awards. As I said earlier, we react to the Game Awards every year, so I thought appropriate. The Game Awards nominations were officially announced. We're not going to go over every single nomination for every award. That's going to take a long time. We will talk about, I'll say here, the Game of the Year nominees. Your Game of the Year nominees for 2023 are Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Resident Evil 4, and Marvel's Spider-Man 2. I think there are some noteworthy things I would also like to mention about the Game Awards. One, Jedi Survivor, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, did not get nominated for Game of the Year. I was surprised about that. I thought that was an incredible game. I did play it. And also something that I guess that I feel like maybe a bit noteworthy is Hogwarts Legacy, the huge game that was actually did not get nominated for a single award, which I also found surprising. Cam, I don't know about you, but I thought Hogwarts Legacy, I did not expect it to be up for Game of the Year because this was just a very big year for games. There were a lot of great games that came out this year, and I did not think Hogwarts Legacy would be up for Game of the Year. But the fact that it did not get nominated for any awards at all was a bit of a shock to me.
Yeah, I thought that they would have at least a couple. Like it wasn't a bad game, like I feel like it was deserving of some awards.
Yeah,
Just
I mean, I feel like overall, I would say, as someone who has played it for roughly 6, 7 hours, I'm definitely not far into it. It's fine. Uh, I don't think, at least in terms of gameplay and things, there's anything great about it. But I mean, it didn't like best music, best say best visuals, I believe is an award. Like, I mean, it looks very, very nice. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't
I
know.
think
It's
the
just
character customization was really cool too. I mean, there
yeah, I
was a
mean, it
lot
was
of
very in depth. A lot of what are the accessibility settings I thought were very, very in depth. I mean, I am just shocked that it did not win anything, nominated for anything. So, Kim, let's talk about these Game of the Year award nominees. Any of them kind of stick out to you as surprising or incredibly not surprising?
I'd say the only one that's kind of surprising that's in here would be Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Like I know that the Super Mario what do you I want what do you want to call it branch
Series.
series. There you go. I know that's really huge. I just feel like I haven't really heard too much about it, so that was kind of a shocker. Like I feel like that kind of just kind of peeked its way in.
I I do actually kind of agree with you on that one because I'll say, up front, not a Nintendo fan really. Uh,
uh
I I mean, I have never beaten a Zelda game. I personally think Zelda is overrated, but that can be a topic for another day. Mario as well, despite the fact that I am a big fan of platformers. I've never beaten a Mario game, but I've played several. I haven't really even played any Zelda games, but I've played several Mario games, and I just never really got into it. There's not been any that I think are really super exciting or groundbreaking or anything. I mean, obviously you have like the first Mario game and the older ones, which all were that, but we live in the present times, and that stuff is old. Um,
very
but despite the fact that not being a Nintendo fan, not playing a lot of Nintendo games, you always hear about it. You can't go anywhere without hearing about a new Legend of Zelda game and typically a new Mario game. But Super Mario Bros. Wonder came completely out of the blue. Like, I didn't even know it was a thing that existed. Like, I saw a meme online about Mario as an elephant, and that's all I saw. Like, I thought that was a joke. I didn't think that was from an actual game. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing, oh, hey, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and I thought, oh, Nintendo must have announced a new Mario game that'll probably come out in like next year or something. And then it's like, oh, it's out. People are playing it. Really just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's the thing too, because with Zelda games, I mean, my lord, you always hear about when a new Zelda game comes out.
Absolutely.
I mean, they put it everywhere. So when I heard when I seen on the list of Super Mario Bros, I'm like, wait a minute, like what? Like there was no, I don't know. I guess it just wasn't big enough or
Yeah, it's
what.
like,
But I mean,
which is, I
clearly
mean,
it had to
being,
be because it's on the Game Award nomination. So
yeah, it just really came out of the blue for me. I was shocked at how kind of little fanfare there was for this game, especially being, one of Nintendo's flagship series, Mario.
yeah, one that's definitely a no brainer though for me that's on this list is Spider-Man 2. I love the game. That is the game of the year.
Mm,
But yeah, that's just me. What do you think
yeah.
your game of the year would be, Jaden?
Um, well, I mean, I haven't played any. I have started Spider-Man 2, so I've played that one a bit. I haven't played any of the rest, so I can't really give an honest opinion. Um, because of my intense hatred for Nintendo, I don't want Mario or Zelda to win it. I will say I am excited that Alan Wake 2 is apparently a really good game. It has been getting absolutely stellar reviews. I played the first Alan Wake within the last year or so because it was remastered and finally released on PlayStation. Noah and I did an episode on it. I thought it was a very cool game. I thought it was a very interesting game. It was something that I'd never really played before in terms of how you take down enemies. So I was excited for Alan Wake 2, and seeing how good, like how much people love this new game and how much of a surprise it was with how good it is, has made me really excited. I can't wait to play it.
Yeah,
But I'm happy that it is good. That was something that was, it was kind of, I felt like maybe a bit out of nowhere, Alan Wake 2, because it had been so long since the first one. So I'm excited for that one. And then also Baldur's Gate 3. I'm really excited for that because it is a D&D game, and I'm a D&D person. I've played a few Baldur's Gate games in the past. I love the concept. I love how in depth it is as an RPG, and it also kind of came out of nowhere. Like people did not expect it to be as good as it was, but it's Game of the Year candidate. It has already won. I think it won Game of the Year at the Golden Joystick Awards, which again I love. I love that. I absolutely love that for the developers who you can tell put a lot of time and effort and love into this game. It is it is a kind of beloved series returning, like an older series, obviously, but still one that had its fans, its diehard fans. And the fact that it was able to, I mean, absolutely, completely, 100% deliver basically on everything it promised and do it all so well and launch is a big thing. Launch a fully working game day one. That's a rare feat nowadays. The game was so polished and successful that some RPG developers actually came out and said, "Hey guys, you shouldn't expect this to be the norm here. Like that's not how games are made anymore." Just to kind of try to save face for the fact that a lot of games are released in, broken states.
yeah, that was one thing too. Like, and you can quote me on this, but I remember like Baldur's Gate 3 was getting a lot of hate from like other game developers, or
Yeah,
I
uh-huh.
and I don't remember why, but I remember it was something that like I think a lot of people that play games are wishing for it to come back.
Yeah, I think it's just the fact that it worked and it worked so well. And again, nowadays, like, it's you buy the game, you get the day one patch, and there's still probably going to be some bugs and glitches, some worse than others, obviously. And eventually the game will work well. And it's something that I especially feel like kind of hurts playing games day one. Like I don't really play games day one much anymore because there's always something. And there are a lot of games that people have very bad memories of because of playing broken games on day one. Like Assassin's Creed Unity was the I believe it was the first like exclusive PS4 Xbox One Assassin's Creed game. It takes place during the French Revolution. Famous, 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 famous for how broken and glitchy it was when the game came out, and people hated on it. Ubisoft actually released a DLC story for free, uh, to make up like as an apology for how broken the game was. I didn't play the game until maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 years after it came out was the first time I played Unity. Let me tell you, great experience. Didn't experience any glitches at all. Got to play a free DLC. Awesome. I loved it.
Dude, I loved Assassin's Creed Unity.
It's a really good Assassin's Creed game. I did not like the story, but it was good. We'll talk about it on the podcast eventually. But
Okay,
it
that's
it
fair.
yeah, it was a fun one. I did. I'm just there are all these people that never even finished the game because it was so broken and stuff, and they just never went back to it. And I'm like, hey guys, it's a good one. I liked it. No
Yeah,
glitches.
no,
Didn't have any.
I thought it was a really good game. But as what we were talking about, with Baldur's Gate 3, thankfully to handy Google over here, I realized. So one of another reasons that they were getting a lot of hate from other game developers and like just the gaming industry in general was because they had no like online purchases.
Oh, no
Um,
microtransactions as well.
thank you,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you, Jaden. That's what
I
I was
mean,
trying to say.
yeah, I think you could argue like they made the perfect game that people want, and it went against very much what is kind of the standard norm in games today, and the game industry did not like it.
No, they were not happy at all. And Alan Wake is one of those games where I would like to go back and play the first one and then play the second one because, like I said, everybody's been hyping it up, man. So
I could get you the first one. I'll bring that to you at some point.
okay,
You
sweet.
have a disc PS5, right?
Yeah, I have a.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll get that to you. I can get that to you. Yeah, I think that's the Game Awards. So I'm excited. We will, as the Gamer Bros have, we will react to the awards when they're announced. That's in December. So that'll kind of be our news episode for that month. We'll be just reacting to the Game Awards. Anyway, Cam, what is your first news story you got for us?
So the first one I have, which is also pretty big right now,
Of
is
course.
Rockstar Games announced that a GTA 6 trailer will be out early December. This was via Rockstar's official Twitter. which I think is just really big because that's a huge game.
I mean, it's
GTA,
GTA.
yeah, GTA is a huge game. I mean, I'm sure it's $1 billion market. I guess I don't
Oh,
know. That's
oh, a
I
million
mean,
percent.
it is huge. And people have been angry because they've been waiting for a long time for GTA 6 to come out. GTA 5 was released what,
What?
2013, Jaden?
Yep, 10
12?
years ago. Yep, 10. No, it was 2013. 10 years ago.
Oh, wow, really? Okay, wow, okay.
Yep.
Um,
It's also been re-released about 30 times.
yeah,
Like
yeah, they've
every
had
time,
like
every time there's a new console, it's hey GTA 5.
yeah, then, you get like your 8 expansion pack DLC things a year. Yeah, anyways, though, it's just a pretty big thing. I feel like in the gaming industry, I know a lot of people are waiting for it, and I believe they're going to drop it either on or because of their 25th anniversary. So,
Yeah, I
uh,
definitely think that's related.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah, it definitely is. I don't think they would do it
Yep.
without
I'm
that.
also I'm also excited for this one because Rockstar doesn't really, because a lot of game developers do this. It's something that I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are annoyed by, but I am annoyed by is they'll release an announced trailer for a game, an announced trailer, or they'll just announce the game exists 4 years before it comes out. I mean, years before it comes out.
Yeah,
A lot of companies do that. And, I think it's one thing to have, say, God of War Ragnarok. Like, there was a 5 year wait. And obviously, people knew it would, like, you knew a new God of War game was coming, but they didn't actually announce it for years because, again, it's like, why? Why would I tell you it's coming when it's not going to be here for a long time? A lot of game developers do that. You have games announced that comes out years later, and it's very annoying. I hate that. But Rockstar doesn't typically do that, so I'm excited to see if they announce it in December. I bet you it comes out in 2024. I'm gonna guess. GTA 5 came out in September of 2013, so if I had to guess, I would go with September, no later than September. But I'm telling you, it's probably coming out in 2024, and I am super excited for it.
I don't know. I remember there was a leak thing of where they said 2025. So we'll see here. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was 2024. I just know that it's going to be a huge game.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know,
I mean,
they.
I
I mean, with the way Red Dead Redemption 2 turned out, I
mm,
I am very very excited for this game. And I've heard from the actors of Michael and Franklin through podcasts that they've like they've rumored basically about them coming back, maybe like possibly and part of the
oh,
story in some way, which is interesting. But I've also heard that they want to have multiple maps
that
in one game.
I've heard that as well. Yeah. No, I think I'm super excited. It's Rockstar, so obviously they're going to hit it out of the park. GTA 5 is actually a great game. I have played through the story of GTA 5, I think 3 or 4 separate times because I just love the story of GTA 5. I love the story of Red Dead. Never played Red Dead 2. Sorry, everybody. But Rockstar is very good at storytelling and gameplay. And so I am very excited for GTA 6. That'll be a day one for me. Right? I will get that day one and hopefully play it.
What's like the thing you're most excited for? You think, or like yeah,
GTA with GTA 6?
yes,
It'd probably be the story. I mean, everything else I think will be, it'll be GTA. You can, go to strip clubs, drive fancy cars, fly planes, fly helicopters, drive boats. I'm excited also to see, I can't say specifically what I'm excited for, but they always do so much. I'm excited to see what new things they put in because I mean, in GTA 5, you could play golf, you could play tennis, you could do yoga, you could
yeah,
you could do anything. Red Dead 1 had its fair share of mini games and things like that. I'm
and
excited to see all the different kind of mini games they have and different I mean GTA 5 you could do triathlons. You could do triathlons. I mean, what the hell kind of game is that? Insane. You could do so much stuff. I'm excited to see those small things that you can do in this game for fun. That is another thing I'm excited for, to see what new kind of games like, hey, guess what? You can play some basketball. Go play a pickup game. 2-on-2, bitches. Like something like just some crazy stuff like that. I'm excited to see what they do.
yeah, and another thing too that I'm excited for is the Easter eggs they have. Like I remember when you go
They do
on
have a lot
to
of Easter eggs.
yeah, I love these, dude. I always love the Easter eggs. That's one of my favorite things, and it's always a big profit too, because I remember you go on I can't think of the mountain right now, but there's the ghost.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
uh-huh.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I wish I knew what mountain that is, dude.
I think it's just
Um,
Mount Chiliad. It's like the one
is it
mountain.
Chiliad? It's Chiliad. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chiliad. And they just have a lot of cool things. So
Oh,
I'm
I mean,
excited for that. And then
yeah,
I'm also
hours.
out. I mean, a bunch of hours of that. And I'm also excited too for like online play and also the physics, like ragdoll physics. Like I always love GTA for that. Like the ragdoll, and I just can't wait to see how good it's gonna look. I just know it's gonna look good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now for your second news
Yeah,
topic of
we're
the week.
gonna really tone it down here. Talk about something sad, guys. So, as reported by Polygon, at least that's the first. That's the earliest reporting I saw of it. I don't know necessarily if someone else reported it first. But Bungie, classic video game company, developers of Halo, of Destiny, announced massive layoffs. No exact number was released, but from employees posting online, it appears to be, or former employees, I should say, it appears to be in the dozens. And this continues what is a rough year for game developers, as earlier this year, Epic, the Fortnite developer Epic, laid off 800 employees. Volition, developer of the Saints Row franchise, was closed completely. And while I was actually doing the research for this episode a few days ago, I had found that day, like 4 hours ago, when I was writing this, reported by Eurogamer, Digital Brothers, the parent company to 505 Games, no affiliation to the Super Gamer Brothers, not related at all. But the parent company to 505 Games, which 505 Games is a huge publisher, known for publishing games such as Limbo Inside, Ghost Runner, Abzu, all four of those games we talked about on this podcast as indie bits. Ghost Runner 2, which is a game that I'm sure I will force Campbell to play and we will talk about. They published Dead by Daylight and I mean many more games. They had a huge list of games that they've published. But anyway, yeah, their parent company, Digital Bros, announced that they are going to they plan to lay off 30% of their staff. And I mean, that's always hard to hear. You never want to hear about people losing jobs, especially I feel like something that is as important to me as video games, the gaming industry. Being a game developer is not a pretty career. It is tough. You got to work. I mean, luckily, crunch seems to be kind of, coming to an end because game companies are catching a lot of heat if they force developers to crunch. But, working hard, long hours for years to make these games that you don't even necessarily know are going to be successful. And then, you have, say, poor sales, you just have downtime where your company's not working on anything huge and they downsize, whatever reason. But I mean, you could just wake up one day and you no longer have a job, and that absolutely sucks. And, I hope the former employees of Bungie and Digital Bros are able to find jobs at other studios because it always sucks to hear about that.
Yeah, and it's really sad because I feel like it's really common among the gaming industry as well. I feel like every year you get sometimes bigger companies or smaller companies, and I mean it is a massacre of how many people they will let go.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is. It is very much not a career with high job security, especially when a company's working on a game, especially a huge game like say GTA 6, a game that's huge. Developers will bring in new employees because they're like, hey, we have to get this game done. We got to get more people to work on all this stuff. A lot of work right now. But then when that game's done, they don't need those people. It's almost like kind of working a like seasonal position, or like I don't know much about professional world. Like, you're someone who works like for like a contract worker. You don't really work for a company. You just work like a job. Is kind of basically how being a game developer can be like. Is you work for a company on one game and then the game's done and they don't need you anymore. And yeah, I mean, I always give props to game developers. They are very hardworking and as I said, low job security. It I can't imagine it's a very mentally safe kind of career to have because I feel like that's something I would always be worried about is getting laid off and stuff.
Oh yeah, and then
And
and plus the stress of not only trying to get the game done, but also, I mean, when it's done, I mean, sometimes all the hate and all those
oh
these
yeah,
develop, and it can get really
yeah.
rough.
I mean, some game developers have to deal with death threats from people sometimes and stuff. It is just crazy the things they go through. And yeah, I mean, my workplace recently actually laid off a few employees, and I can tell you just the absolute fear of just going into work wondering if the layoffs are done, if this is your last day, what's going to happen is absolutely insane. and it is not fun. Like, it is not fun. I think things have settled down now, but for a time when those layoffs happened, everyone was coming into work like fearing, like, oh, is it going to be me today? Is this going to be my last day and things? So yeah, my heart goes out to all those people who have been laid off, and I hope that they are able to find work and keep working on good games.
Oh yeah, I hope they all become successful people in their own way. I mean, if that's games or not, I just hope they find a better way, or whatever they can do. Because
Yeah. Now we'll move on to a slightly less sad story. Cam, is with your second news story.
yeah, this is a no brainer here. Big disappointment from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. A lot of gamers are saying the game is very basic and frustrating. This was said by Rock Paper Shotgun. Some even saying that there was better graphics with worse gameplay. Let's not forget this game was a whopping $70. That's not including all the special things you can get with it. I'd say we've seen a continuous downfall with a lot of bigger games like modern Call of Duty, where it's kind of the same game packed into one. It's just better graphics with a worse story and worse physics even. I feel like, to me, Call of Duty is where Madden would be. It's just it's kind of like this downward spiral that it still makes up a lot of money because it's such a big name. But the gaming sucks a lot of times. So
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those games where it's just kind of garbage. I'm not trying to be rude.
Yeah, I know. A couple of guys I work with have played it and have complained about it. Like, one guy said, it's basically just a carbon copy of Modern Warfare 2, just with a different story. Like, gameplay wise, it is literally the exact same. I think it even uses the same maps from Modern Warfare 2, like multiplayer maps. And I don't know, he was also telling me, one guy was saying that, like, when Modern Warfare 2 was released, they got rid of a lot of normal features in Call of Duty. And then, so for like Modern Warfare 3, they marketed the fact that those features were back, features that should have been in Modern Warfare 2 to begin with. But yeah, I don't know exactly. It is also kind of weird, I felt like, because Modern Warfare 2 just came out last year, didn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
So yeah, to me, I thought it was incredibly weird that I guess, I don't know, is Call of Duty not switching developers anymore, because they used to have two and then three, separate developers that would work on each game. So you would have, different games come out. Like, you had Infinity Ward, which did like the original Modern Warfare series, and then Treyarch, which did the Black Ops series. Then they added Sledgehammer in, which did Advanced Warfare and Call of Duty World War II. And they would take turns, so each game would be a separate series almost in terms of story and things.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you have Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 coming out back to back. It almost feels like kind of more of an expansion than a completely new Call of Duty game.
Yeah, and it kind of was. And when I look at it, just because of the fact that I also know that the game was much shorter. The actual storyline was really. I mean, people complain about that a lot as well. As it was just a shorter game. So I don't know. It kind of seemed a little rushed, maybe a little forced, a little pushed out there. But I mean, I just think they gotta fix it. I mean, Call of Duty used to be amazing, and slowly it's going down, and people still buy it. And I don't know if it's just because they want the old times back, just like how I believe it is with Madden. But it's just it's becoming more and more of a disappointment. So
I think it's, you buy it because you kind of have to keep up with the series if you want to be on top of,
yeah,
multiplayer and just keeping up to date.
yeah. It's funny though. One of my early times, I guess you could say, of playing games. When I was younger, was with my other brother, not Noah or Jaden, and we played Call of Duty. I believe it was Modern Warfare 3, and I used to be so terrified of playing the game.
Well, Houston is very good at Call of Duty.
Yo, yeah, he's a sweat at shooter games.
Yeah.
For the people out there.
Okay, now we move on to my third story, which actually is kind of, our third stories are actually kind of related, completely unintentional. Which my third story here, the PlayStation 5 Slim model was officially announced in October by Sony. The new Slim models are smaller and lighter than the original, very clunky PS5s. They're big boys. They also feature more storage space, 1 terabyte compared to the 825 gigabytes of the PS5, which is good. I feel like, to yell at Sony, it should have been 1 terabyte from the beginning. Although they are solid state drives compared to hard drives, which are a lot more expensive, so you can sort of forgive it. And honestly, I feel like a terabyte is too small. Games are huge now, absolutely ginormous. Even a terabyte at this point is kind of on the smaller side, which is crazy to think about, but it is. Also, quite interesting, for some reason, the disk drive is detachable. So you can buy a version with a disk drive attached, or you can buy a digital model, but you can later buy a disk drive and attach it. Weird. I don't really know why they did that. Kind of doesn't make sense. But anyway, the physical model with the disk drive is $500. The digital model is $450. Also, the PlayStation 5 original comes with a stand that you can use to either set the console down horizontally or vertically. Now you got to buy that separate. Vertical stand is $30. That's stupid. It says it comes with a horizontal stand, but it's funny if you look at the picture, the horizontal stand is basically just this tiny piece of metal. Looks like a pea or something that just like hooks into it and holds it up. It's very stupid looking.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Cam, what's your opinion on this?
I mean, this was expected. I mean, I'm not surprised that they're gonna make you pay for the vertical stand, which is really stupid though. I feel like it should come with it. I also think it's way too small of storage space. I mean, games are huge now. I mean, but basically what that tells me is you're also gonna have to pay money for is it like what is it called that you have to sometimes put it, like, is it a hard drive?
Well, it's a solid state drive for PlayStation.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah,
But you gotta
that's right.
buy, yeah, you gotta buy a bigger one and either put it in or buy an external. That's
Which
always
yeah,
annoying.
which is really really annoying to do.
Yeah.
Um, and so like I said, really, honestly, if you're gonna spend this much money, I'd probably just get the regular
Yeah.
one.
It'll come with a stand. It'll come
Yeah,
with its own stand. Yeah, it's so weird because typically when the smaller versions of consoles come out, usually there's a bit of a price drop, and if there's not a price drop, then at least it costs the same. But hypothetically, this is more expensive. The physical edition is technically the same, but if you want it to stand vertically like a normal PS5, it's $30 more expensive. And the digital edition is $50 more. Like the digital PS5 initially was only $400.
yeah. So I mean,
Um,
why you want to get the slim version of that? So I
yeah,
mean,
it's so weird because there just seems to be no upgrade at that point. I mean, really, the only reason I would maybe end up getting a slim PS5 is if my PS5 breaks down, before the end of the console cycle. Like I had to do that with PS4. Like had to buy, like I don't think I think Noah had to do that where like his PS4 ended up breaking and he had to buy a slim. Because as I'm sure it will happen because it's happened with every other console, the slim will become the standard model. They're going to stop making the originals. So hypothetically, you want to get your model now before the slim becomes the only model available.
right? Yeah,
But
and maybe storage space. Yeah, that's
yeah,
another.
but I mean, it's like you think, wow, that's 175 more gigabytes. That's maybe one game. I mean, some games are even more than that. I think Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is 200 gigabytes. Another issue players have with it, going back to Cam's second story.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah,
yeah, so that extra storage space wouldn't even store that one game.
yeah. There's never enough storage space, and the thing is, I truly do kind of believe that they're trying to push that narrative out too. That like that this is as much as you're gonna get, so then you do have to pay for the
Yeah,
external, and I
yeah,
think that's completely stupid.
yeah. And that's honestly, one of the reasons the Super Gamer Bros coined the term beat and delete, or I guess it's more of a phrase, referring to, just beat a game and then delete it because of the fact that games are so big now that I beat a game. The second I beat a game, I delete it because I need space. Like I need space in my console for things, for other games.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I know. It's always been a problem for me too because there's games where I've wanted to purposely keep that I've had to delete so I could play a new game,
yeah,
and that's very annoying.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's the PS5 Slim. Honestly, kind of underwhelming, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
Cam, where'd you go? There you are. What's
You
your
hear-
third story?
Okay, so my third story is going to be about Black Friday, which is right around the corner.
Yeah, but it's
Uh,
4 days from the release of this episode.
yeah, yeah, right around the corner.
Hey, you know what? Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Oh yeah, happy Thanksgiving. I
Yeah,
hope you guys.
if you're listening to this episode before Thanksgiving of 2023, happy Thanksgiving. If you're
Yeah,
listening after, you don't.
if anybody gets this reference, I hope you have a big daddy of a turkey. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I pulled it, Gaden. I did it. I pulled I pulled the card.
Wow. Wow. Oh my God. Oh man, what a callback.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, dude. I pulled it though. I pulled the trigger on that one. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
All right. Just God damn it. Tell your story.
Yeah, which
Black
means
Friday.
deals are also around the corner. The new PlayStation 5 Slim is having console bundles with either Spider-Man 2 or Call of Duty Modern Warfare for a total of $500. If you buy a Xbox Series X with the Diablo 4 console bundle, you also get a second free game for $489, or the same deal, but instead you get a free game, or instead of a free game, you get Madden 24. I mean, the PlayStation VR will be $100 off with the Horizon Call of the Mountain bundle, and the price of that will be $500. Which, by the way, I just want to say I don't really get the point of PlayStation VR. I I think it's kind of stupid. Also, something else I think is kind of stupid. I'm going off topic here. Mind me. Is the new portable PlayStation thing they got going on? What is that called, Jaden?
Boy,
I know you would
that's
know.
I don't know. I know exactly what you're talking about. I cannot remember the name.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna look it up just real quick. Mind me here.
Okay,
Uh,
well, while Cam's looking that up, I will very quickly. I do want to interject. I kind of agree with you with PSVR. I think VR games, I feel like they very much are like a, what do you say, like a gimmick or like a fad almost. You know, super huge when they were first coming out, and everyone was like playing them and oh, check out my VR, check out my VR. Which I mean, having played VR games, they are cool, but it almost has kind of gone away, or certainly at least is not as loud as it was when they first came about. But I do respect Sony actually kind of keeping with it, having the PSVR 2 kind of going in on this because I think there is a market for it still. It is still cool, and Sony is honestly one of the cheaper slash better VR options. I mean, if you're trying to be serious VR things, playing kind of more intense games and stuff, PSVR is actually on the cheaper side. So that is cool that they do have that. And I do respect them keeping with it. I do think it's stupid that PSVR games are not compatible with the PSVR 2. It's not backwards compatible.
oh, that's dumb.
Yeah. But again, I think it's cool. It's something that if I did have the money, I would get it because I do think VR games are, a fun time. It is always fun. It is endlessly fun showing people VR games for the first time and how excited people get doing them. It is actually for the first time in a while, it almost since the Wii, I would say, PSVR and VR in general is something that like actually kind of will excite everyone. Like when the Wii first came out, everyone had the Wii. I mean, Cam, you might remember, mom and dad, they bought a Wii and they had their adult friends over like all the time to play Wii bowling.
Dude, you just unlocked the whole memory. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I do
like
do
they
that.
came over all the time. Like they had their friends over, they're drinking, playing Wii bowling all the time. And I feel like VR is kind of the new that, where when someone has it, it's like, hey, friends, come over and check out this thing. And everyone, they have fun with it. They play around with it once, maybe a couple times, and then, whatever. So I do think good for them. It's being on sale is cool. You didn't even
Yeah.
mention, I'll say the Sony DualSense wireless controllers on sale $49, $50. That's a good deal because they're $70 normally, and that's for just the plain white ones. The colored ones are even more expensive, like up like 75, 80. Which, my God, I think controllers are too expensive nowadays. And actually, seeing one for 50, I might actually buy one myself because I do want another controller.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not a bad price. It is the PlayStation Portal, by the way.
That's
And
it. Yeah.
and I want to say I think it is very stupid because you have to be on Wi-Fi. You have to have a PlayStation 5 account.
Yeah.
So it's like, how portable is it really? I mean, you have to be on Wi-Fi. I can't go on the road.
Yeah. I think it's like it just
Let's say
like
I was taking a drive to somewhere for vacation and I had a 7-hour drive. It only lasts 5 hours and 44 minutes, I believe. It's somewhere around that.
well the
Meanwhile,
battery. I mean, no portable gaming console has a 7-hour battery.
I'm not portable gaming console, but the Nintendo Switch though
It does
has like
not. No, it does not
it,
last 7 hours. It does not.
it
You're wrong.
in the description it says it does. I could have sworn when I
I'm
looked up.
pretty sure the newest Switch model has a battery life of 5.5 to 6 hours. I don't think it lasts 7.
It says, well, that's not really a good answer. It says 4.5 to 9. Yeah, it isn't really two point. Wow, it's very bipolar. Well, anyways, I could have sworn
Bipolar.
this is Yeah, bipolar. Yeah,
Um,
this is my bad here, but I could have sworn that I thought that the Nintendo Switch was a little bit better when it came to how long you were able to be on it for.
well, honestly, I feel like the only thing to me is the PS thing. If it, especially if it does have to be actually, because I think it like streams from the PS5 or something, right?
It
Like it's
does.
very weird. I feel like it only exists for, you could hypothetically say, someone like me who wants to play on my PS5 and my girlfriend wants to watch a show or something, so she could stream it in the living room and I could be, downstairs or upstairs, wherever, in a different room playing my PS5. Like that's the only situation I think it's useful.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you're at like a workspace, maybe, and you're at break, I mean, maybe you could
I
play a
Yeah,
game. But
potentially.
even that, I just think it's stupid because I wouldn't call it portable because you have to be on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That's infuriating to me because I
Yeah.
think that's very stupid. Also, by the way, to go back to what we were talking about a minute ago with, old time sakes for, me and Jaden and the siblings, just to let you know how terrible my siblings were. I want them to know that I don't know who broke the code for me here, but then I think someone else admitted it. I think it was Houston and Noah. But my controller used to be off when we would play games.
Well, everyone does that with younger siblings.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I just want everybody to know that I'm still deeply offended by this.
Okay. Well, get good, scrub. All right. Anyway, we're gonna move on now. That was cool Black Friday deals. Um,
Yes.
and that's, I mean, obviously just scratching the surface. There are so many deals on so many games themselves. Go to your local store, look it up on Amazon. You'll find tons of deals because it is Black Friday and Cyber Monday coming up. Now we're gonna do this new thing where we're gonna talk about some games. In theory, these are upcoming games, but they might not be. I just want to talk about games. I just want to talk about more games that like I'm either excited about or just am at least somewhat interested in. And this is where these games will go. Just like the news stories, we each have three games we'll talk about. Obviously, these are not games that we have played or potentially are even out yet. So our conversation obviously will not be super detailed, but just give a little description and talk about them. So my first game, Cam, is Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, developed by Massive Entertainment. This game releases December 7th, so not too far out, actually. Based on James Cameron Avatar series, it is an open world kind of action adventure game where you play as a Na'vi, and yeah, that's it. So I'll be honest, this game has, like, I've known about it for a long time. I have not cared. I've not cared for so long because I am not super into the movies. I watched the first one, obviously came out 14 years ago, 2009. I didn't really care for it. And then I never watched the second one because I like it's 4 hours long. I didn't really care for the first one. I just don't care. Um
Right.
Noah was super excited about this game, was trying to get me into it for a long time and I just refused. But then, like, I never watched gameplay, never did anything with it. I was like, I don't care. Moved on. And then a couple weeks ago, I was just scrolling through Facebook and I saw, like, I forget if it was GameStop or PlayStation's Facebook because I like both of those, had a short, like, 15-second clip of like a Navi running through a forest. And I was like, holy shit, that looks pretty good. Like, that looks really beautiful. And so then I actually like watched some videos on it and like going through the world and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I might play that. I might do it. I actually I think it piqued my interest. I think it actually looks really cool. I might actually I think I'm gonna give it a try.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I am going to play it. I'm definitely excited. I think it'll be a fun game.
Cam, what is your first game?
So my first game is Alone in the Dark, and it's set in 1920s Louisiana, and it challenges the player to escape a haunted mansion. You
Ooh.
as Edward Carnby. I'm probably ruining that, or Emily Hartwood. And
Oh,
you
that
basically
sounds.
explore environments and fight monsters and much more. I think it's going to be a really cool game.
Ooh, that sounds very interesting. Haley will love that. She's super into like scary horror games. I'm not, but I do play them for her sake. So I actually will probably end up playing it. That does sound very interesting. I've never even heard of that. That sounds like a very interesting game.
Oh yeah, my bad. I forgot to mention. It's by Infogrames, and it releases January 16th.
Yeah, that actually sounds interesting. I'd play that. The New Orleans thing really kind of hooks me. I like that area of the world.
Oh, me too. I think it's very cool.
Yeah.
How about for
Anyway,
your second?
my second game, Persona 5 Tactica. So A little Easter egg, not Easter egg, I don't know, fun fact. That's the word. Little fun fact for all you listeners out there. Persona 5 is the reason this podcast exists. We have not talked about it on the podcast because Noah actually played it, but we never talked about it because I don't know. I wanted to do something special for it and I could never think of anything. Because Persona 5, I would say, is one of the games, like, I mean, other than Pokemon, it was like the first JRPG that I really played, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I fell in love with the series. I have played so many Persona games. And back when I was playing it, all I wanted to do was talk about it with, someone who played games. And Noah didn't play it. And I was like, dude, I just want to like tell Noah about this game. Like I could talk about it for hours. And I had an idea of like, oh, let's do a podcast where like one of us tells the other about a game we're playing or something, tries to convince the other person to play it, whatever. And I pitched that idea to Noah, and we kind of obviously messed around with it a bit, and then but that ended up becoming the Super Gamer Bros podcast. So love Persona 5. Persona 5 Tactica is like a spin-off game. I think it technically tells the same story, but the gameplay is different, the animation is different. It's a lot more like, I would say, childish in its animation, more like chibi characters versus regular characters. It also is a different gameplay, which Persona 5 is a turn-based RPG like Pokemon. You pick your attack, you pick your whatever. And Persona 5 Tactica plays more like XCOM. It's a tactical RPG where you have, kind of like an above map. You move your characters and have them attack and things, which is interesting to me because I've actually never played a game like that. I actually had to look it up because I knew like I've seen that type of gameplay before, but I couldn't think of necessarily what it was called in a game that was like it. But like XCOM is a good example, and I've never played a game like that, and I've always wanted to, but just never found a game that interested me with that type of gameplay. So I'm actually kind of excited that I'll be able to kind of finally experience what a tactical RPG is like with this game. I will play it. It did actually, obviously developed by Atlas. I actually assume they developed Persona 5. I should actually have double checked that, but I refuse to. At this point, it's too late. And it actually released, as of this recording, it released, I think, 3 days ago, Friday, November 17th. So hopefully I'm going to play that one soon.
Jaden's gonna be pretty disappointed probably, but I've never played Persona 5.
It's not surprising to me.
Yeah, I just haven't really played it. I would play it though. I mean, if it's a good game, I'm always down for a good game. But yeah, I haven't really played that, but I have seen like games like XCOM and in like a tactical kind of game. I think that will be interesting though. And you'll have to let us know how it is, Jaden.
Yeah, Cam, what's your second game?
I picked Tekken 8, which is I'm gonna probably murder the studio name here. Is it Bandai Namco?
Namco, Bandai
Namco,
Namco.
Bandai Namco Studios and Arika, which releases January 26th. I just think this is a classic. Tekken's always I feel like that's a pretty big game in the gaming industry, like Tekken in general.
Of course.
Yeah, it's huge. So I feel like this is a good one to talk about just because of how big it is, and I feel like that's good news. And plus, I like fighting games. I grew up on games like this, Mortal Kombat to be more specific, but in Justice League as well. You know, these are these are my games that I grew up on with my family. Even I mean, not even like Noah or Jaden, but like my stepdad was their dad. Was a big fan of them with his siblings, and so I've always kind of grown up watching it and playing it.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I don't like Tekken. Tekken and Street Fighter, they're, I think, at least as far as I've always been able to tell, they're the two biggest, I would say, Japanese fighting franchises in the world. Both classics, tons of games, as you could tell with Tekken 8. I just personally have never enjoyed them, never got into them. I've always been a Mortal Kombat guy. That's really Mortal Kombat and Justice, the only fighting games I like. So, unfortunately, not one I'm looking forward to, Cam. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I like it, and maybe that's just because of the aesthetic. But I also like fighting games. I don't know. It interests me. I mean, I like a lot of games, so yeah.
All right. For my third game, Lord of the Rings: Return to Moria, developed by Free Range Games, releases on PS5. I did discover through my research it is already out on PC, but I had picked it and refused to change my mind. Which is also why I said games that we want to play and not necessarily games that haven't already come out. Anyway, so Moria is obviously an iconic location in Lord of the Rings. It's where they fight the Balrog. It was a dwarven kingdom. They dug too deep. They all got wiped out by orcs and demons. And in this game, you play as dwarves that go back to Moria to reclaim it and rebuild the city and explore and whatever. It is a like survival resource survival game. I forget exactly what it's called. Basically, like Minecraft. You go around, you mine ores, you get things, you build things. You have to watch your food, like your temperature, your water. You got to keep yourself alive. Crafting survival game. Yeah. Unfortunately, I saw and didn't get great reviews, the PC version. But I did think this piqued my interest because, I mean, I love Lord of the Rings. So this game is very. This game did interest me initially. Not big on crafting survival games, unfortunately. I mean, I did platinum Minecraft. I played it. It was fun. But I did think it was interesting just seeing it's been a while since the Lord of the Rings game has been released. Actually, no, I guess Lord of the Rings Gollum came out not too long ago, but we don't talk about that one.
No,
But I do think it's an interesting kind of side Lord of the Rings experience. I'm interested to kind of look more into it and see what's up.
I like how it kind of looks cartoonish.
It
I don't
does,
know.
yeah, yeah.
It looks very cutesy though. You know what I mean? They're very cutesy.
Well, it's I don't know if it's just they tried and failed to make it look realistic or if they did it on purpose. I'm going to go with they did it on purpose, which I enjoy because trying to make games look as realistic as possible, like, quote unquote real life, whatever. I don't care about that. I just want a game to look nice. As you said, cartoonish is a way to do that. Like it can look cartoonish, and I think that's fine.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I think it looks really neat. And the graphics look good too, which that's always a positive.
Cam,
Um,
what's your
for
third
my
game?
third game, I have Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is by Gameloft, which I heard already came out. So which is kind of confusing, but it's
Well,
okay.
I think it's an early access.
Yeah, it might be an early access. Noah has been playing it, I guess, in the past couple months. So which is basically a hybrid between a life sim and an adventure game with quests, exploration, and engaging activities featuring like Disney and Pixar characters, which are both old and new. And I don't know, I think that's always a cool game. I I remember is it Final Fantasy, Jaden?
What?
Is that the no? What's the game where it's like it has like characters inside of it? I cannot remember the name. I never played it.
Game that has characters
Like like
inside of it.
like no no no
Are you
sorry.
talking about Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah. I knew it was something like that. All right, man. I mean, don't hate me here. I know it was something like that. It's something like anime-ish, but it was that game though.
Well, it does have Final Fantasy characters in it. That's actually
Okay,
kind of the whole purpose. It's mixing Final Fantasy with Disney.
okay.
It's
See,
Kingdom
I
Hearts.
wasn't wrong here. I haven't played that game, but I always thought that was a cool game that I wanted to play. So who knows? I might get the chance to do it, but I thought it was just really interesting how they mixed that together. So it kind of goes the same there. Would
Yeah.
you ever play it, Jaden?
I would not, honestly. I'm sorry, Cam. Your list is not great with me, I guess. No, the thing to me about Final Fantasy, not we're not talking about that. The thing to me about Dreamlight Valley is it looks to me like it's kind of an Animal Crossing game. Like you have this island or area that like Disney characters kind of move into and you do little quests for them and then you go do other quests and unlock more characters that come and move in. But to me, the problem with it was the same problem I have with Animal Crossing is it's kind of like it's a lazy game, which no problem with that, but it is what's the word? It's like there's no definite ending to it. Like I want a game that has, hey, you beat the game, congratulations, move on. And like Animal Crossing games like that, they're games that you can basically play forever. There's not really a, hey, you're done, you did everything kind of moment. I mean, you can get all trophies and stuff and then stop playing it after that, but it's not like I don't know. I'm not into those types of games.
Yeah, I see. Okay, I will say this though. I like giving a little bit of a variety to the people listening. So I kind of pick games that I thought would be interesting in general.
No, I get you.
Um, so yeah. I guess I just brought a little variety. You get a little bit of fighting, you get a little bit of story, and you get a little bit of lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that wraps up the games section of this episode.
And now we move on to the indie bit, the bit where we talk about indie games.
Yay!
Today we are talking about Last Stop. Last Stop is set in London. You are playing as a third person game where you play in three separate characters, or as three separate characters, in like a supernatural crisis. It's a cool little game. You get to walk around and have these storylines. Did you like it?
Okay, I will say, just to talk about the gameplay a bit, because Cam kind of didn't, which, to be fair, gameplay, not really a lot. You just pick dialogue options and walk. That's all you do. Like a Telltale game. Did I like it? Honestly, I have to say no. So you play, as three separate characters, as three kind of pretty different stories. Well, first off, I'll say one of the characters you play as is this woman who's having an affair, instantly hate her. Uh,
Yeah.
Hate cheaters, never cheat. Hate her. So, and instantly, like, it's irredeemable. Like, I hated that character. I hated playing as her. I did not care about her story at all because I'm like, dude, I don't care about this chick at all. The story is weird. You play as each character for 6 episodes, and the episodes are, it's fine. I have issues with the fact that the game is all about picking different dialogue options, but none of your dialogue options actually matter or affect anything in any way.
No, they don't.
I did play some sections for like trophies and stuff multiple times, and it's like no matter what you say, the person you talk to reacts in the exact same way, which is weird. Also, the dialogue options are not what your character will say anyway. I discovered that it's more like you're picking a kind of tone than actually picking the words the character says, which I think is weird. Because I would pick like, oh, let me pick this dialogue option that says like, how are you today? And the character would be like, hey, Sam, what's going on? And I'm like, well, that's not what I said. That's not what it said I was saying at all. That's weird. And also, when you start a new episode as a character, it takes you back to the previously on. And for the previously on, it'll pick different options than what you did. It'll show different options. For example, at one point you're playing as a character where you literally pick his outfit, the shirt he's wearing. And there were 3 options. I picked option C. And then when watching the previously on, he was wearing like option A, like a shirt I didn't pick. And it's the same with dialogue options where you'll watch a scene that I just played this scene 5 minutes ago, and that's not the dialogue option I picked at this scene, which is so weird. I've never had that experience before with one of these games, like a Telltale style pick your options, move on game where, in my version of the scene when I was playing through it, I picked, hey, how are you today? But then when it plays back through, it in that exact same scene, and I remember because I just played it, the character will instead say like, I don't feel like talking right now. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not what I picked. Why have me pick anything at all if it really doesn't matter?
Yeah, I noticed that.
And then also you play as a guy, the affair chick, and then this other younger girl.
Yeah.
In her story, there's a character, Cam, I know you know the character I'm talking about, has very weird abilities that are never explained. Like it is never explained who he is, what he wants, anything.
Yeah.
Did you beat the game? Like beat the story?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I would say the huge twist of the story happens right at / before the quote unquote final chapter. And then everything that happens after that to the rest of the game, which is a lot of stuff, happens in that one chapter.
It does.
And it's so rushed. And then you pick, the only thing that matters is for each character, you're given 2 options. You pick those 2 options, and then it's like final cutscenes, game's over.
And I will say, I'm not going to spoil, but let me say, like, some of the endings are it's just like it's like a good and a bad. And
yeah, pretty much.
And I'm not gonna say just somebody gets screwed. All right, and it's enraging.
Yeah. I also think it's kind of annoying that honestly, I feel like what would have made this game better is if the game just ended after the last chapter with each character, and then everything that takes place in that final chapter, put that in a separate game, make a sequel. Because let's just say shit gets crazy. And again, super rushed. I think it would have been a lot cooler if they had fully explored all of this crazy stuff in a separate game. And like, I would say the story leading up to the final chapter as each character is okay. I would have been hooked enough to pay for the sequel if they had done it that way, and it would have been less rushed. I feel like it would have been better. Graphics wise is not great. I don't know when it came out, but it doesn't look great. So unfortunately, I have to say this one's kind of a no for me, man. It did, like, initially I got hooked playing the stories. I was very interested kind of playing through the first, and I think when I played through the second episode of each character, I was like, ooh, this is getting interesting. I'm interested in this. And then it really just kind of took a downhill dive. And
Yeah.
again, the end was like crazy, was more interesting than what had happened previously. But I feel like they should have ended on a cliffhanger and then started the second game kind of in that last chapter. I feel like it would have been better pacing.
No, I agree. And I thought the game was okay, at best. It was kind of hard sometimes. It was kind of annoying because like you couldn't really tell when you go from cutscene to walking. I don't know if you had that problem as well.
Yeah, because sometimes the characters would walk automatically and sometimes they wouldn't, and it never really
Yes.
specified when
Yeah.
it changed.
And that was very annoying to me because you're just like kind of sitting here and you're like, what am I doing? And then you're like, oh crap, now I get to move. But one thing I will say too is just that it was very rushed, and I feel like game itself just it didn't really lead anywhere in my opinion. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like to
I
me,
agree
like
with you. I agree with you.
it just didn't really like it was very anticlimactic.
Cool.
And so because of that, I just don't really think it was that good of a game. And
Yeah.
I was, by the way, I love being I when I played as the affair girl, I was a complete bitch the whole game, dude. I
Yeah.
loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's last stop. Cam, I'm sure you're excited for the next indie bit. The next indie bit game we are going to talk about is called Haven. Haven. I think it's got RPG elements, and that's all I know about it because all I did was, find it on the PlayStation Pass, the PS Pass, and looked up how long it took to beat it, and that's the game. If you want to know, if any of the listeners want to know my painstaking selection process for indie bit games, that's typically how I do it. Well, we have to play it in 2 weeks. I don't want it to be too long.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. And
Yeah.
plus, and in this bit, yeah, we kind of had to time those out good because we're
Yeah.
usually playing other bigger games. So
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, that's Haven is the next game. That is another successful indie bit for the Super Gamer Bros. We did it again. Go us. We are the best. Anyway, yeah, I hope you guys liked the first iteration, and depending on how we feel about it, maybe the last, I don't know, wait a month, of Super Gamer News. Name still subject to change. So don't forget, new episodes every other Monday. Rate and subscribe. Tell us if you like our show or tell us if you don't, and tell us why. Tell your friends and enemies about the podcast. You can follow our Instagram, The Super Gamer Bros, for updates on episodes. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, Super Gamer Bros. That is one word, capital S, capital G, capital B, period at the end, where Noah is still uploading videos every day, going through a lot of Mortal Kombat 1 content right now. Noah is absolutely in love with that game. So check those out. And thanks for listening. And we will see you guys next game.
see ya.